Welcome back, everybody, to Rock Talk. We're on camera now. It looks a little bit different, but we're back for year 2, and I am super excited to have the guy who was the first ever guest on Rock Talk 362 days ago. Wow. Head coach of the men's soccer team, Ethan Higgins. Ethan, it is great to have you back. How does it feel to be on camera?
It feels interesting. We did it last year with the headsets and everything. It was kind of just, talking back and forth, but yeah, something I'm not used to, but I guess I got to get used to it, right? Times are changing.
Yeah, making it a little more official, but I think it's a good thing. We're here. You can't even tell where we are, but we got the backdrop, and we are ready to go. But, man, I'm excited to talk to you. It's been a while. How's the year been for you? I mean, since the end of soccer season in November last year.
Yeah, it's been good. The guys worked hard in the spring. I think we worked a lot on tactics, a lot on fitness as well. Two of the things that during the fall that were not our best. It wasn't the greatest season, so we had to really just look at it and for what it was and kind of just face reality a little bit, and then just change what we needed to change. And I think they excelled in the spring. They really bought into the new system that we're trying to play. And then, it was nice to have, 3 transfers come in and for the spring and really just get to work right away. So, yeah, it feels good. I feel great to be back, get ready for the next season. It's going to be a long season. So, starting as early as possible. Just had our first morning practice this morning, like 6 to 8 a.m. And we had good two days of two-a-days on Friday and Saturday. Took a day off yesterday and, yeah, getting the guys going again. So
you get the guys here and you get right after it. I mean, it's what do you got? 5 practices under your belt, and they got here. When did they show up? Thursday?
Yeah, check-in was Thursday, and then I couldn't do anything with them that day. They had like their own player meeting, which I thought was honestly really cool. We talk a lot about a team-led team, and they're really just buying into that idea this year. And so yeah, it was great. They had their meeting on Thursday, and then we had 5 practices. Yep, since then. Including today.
You guys are getting ready to go, and you mentioned last year it was a building year, your first year here at RU. I mean, that's just kind of, you have to get your own guys in there, build a culture, and you've started to do that. I saw improvement going through from game 1 all the way to game. Let's see, how many did you play? 18.
Yeah, 18 games. Yep.
But the spring, and I heard great things about the 2 games that you played. Tell me a little bit more about what you saw improvement-wise in those games.
Yeah, so, I mean, first thing was just attitude, right off the bat. I think it was really, really good. I think the guys were excited, fired up to, show all their hard work throughout those 4 or 5 weeks, all the way up until we played those games. So I think they were just fired up, ready to go, and they really showed it, man. We played Whitewater the first game. We tried out the new formation, tried out the new tactics, and their head coach came over too after the game. We ended up winning 3-1, and he came up after the game and basically just said hey, this is the first time Rockford's beat us in 20 years, and it's so that felt good, of course, but I think the players really deserved it because they're the ones that are running up and down the whole field, and especially how we transition. It's a lot of hard work. So, and as a goalkeeper, I don't. You kind of look at me too. I don't really run too much, but I'm trying to get back into it. But these guys, they really showed improvement with fitness, and just the belief of the system that we were trying to play. Because in reality, we only added 3 players. And in that first game against Whitewater, we had 2 of them playing in it, and that was the only difference. We had the same guys as last year, and they took down the WIAC champions. I know it's a spring game. I know where everybody's trying different stuff, but they really proved themselves in that game. And then we played Beloit. Right after, ended up winning 4-1, and super proud of those guys too. It was the same guys that I had last year, and they really they really just worked hard and won it. So, and they wanted it more than they did, man. And that's 50% of the battle. So
absolutely, yep. Yes, sir. Yes, I mean, just getting out there and wanting to. It's so hard to teach too. You just have that. You have to be born with that as an athlete. Absolutely, and you had that high of the spring, and then it's a lot of months of you don't get to see him for a while. So what does that look like? How do you and Quinn, your assistant coach, how do you guys keep in touch with them, and what do they do over the summer to stay prepared leading up into the real season?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's tough for Division III. It's not like Division I or Division II where your rules are a lot less loose. They can do whatever they want basically.
Yeah.
But with us, we only get 24 days in the spring. Going into the summer, we gave them a summer packet. It was an 8-week packet starting sometime in June. And then they had leadership groups over the summer. So a lot of new guys, a lot of new faces. It was good for them to have a group leader, like an upperclassman. So for example, I know like Wes, he had a group of like 5. They would check in every single day to say yes or no if they've done the fitness packet. And then on Sunday, any leaders with any like issues, like let's say somebody wasn't doing something, they would check in with me, and then we would have a conversation. Basically the best way that we did it was just trying to improve the fitness. I know a lot of guys went out to the field as well, but the big thing was just fitness. If they're coming into the fall ready to go, and they kind of proved themselves as well in the fitness test this year. They really did come in fit, so that's all I can really ask for. So that's what we did with all those months leading into this one, and now they're ready to go.
That's a really interesting point that you made about, staying in shape. That's something when you're by yourself in the off season, you can't cheat on that, because once you show up and we're ready to go, especially in soccer when you're running around all game, like we're going to know if you were doing your laps, whatever things that you had to do over the summer, because you're going to be lagging behind, you're going to be panting, whatever it is. So it's good to hear that I remember the fitness test we had to do in football. It got gradually easier. As it should if you've done it for a couple of years. But what does your fitness test look like when you come in?
Yeah, so the very first day, it's the first thing that we do. So we did it on Friday, like the morning session at 8 a.m., I believe. And so it's called the Nike Spark beep test. Yeah. So basically it's like the pacer test, except for it's intervaled. So the pacer test, it's like back and forth, back and forth. Same thing here. You make it 20 meters or 20 yards in our case, and then you go back. If you miss 2 beeps, you're out, and you're trying to get to 60. So it is tough, and it increases speed every few rounds. So it is tough. It's one of those tests that you just got to get through mentally. Once you get to 60, I believe you're at 23 or 24 minutes of like just running.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they get a 7-second interval in between, so to rest. So
7 seconds of rest between every interval.
Yep, between every interval, all the way up to 60. So it's a test of fitness and as well as mental. So and that's what we need this year. You have 18 games, you got practices every single day. You got to be mentally ready. Are you going to push through it? When it's 89th minute and you're tied 1-1, who can I trust to run the whole pitch and just tap the ball in off a cross? So those are the kids that I want on the field. And they really prove it in that test.
Yeah, that's tough stuff. 7 seconds of rest. That's nothing.
Yeah.
You barely can open your eyes, and then you're back running again. Do goalkeepers run that as well?
Yeah, the goalkeepers run it. Yeah, so but they get a little bit of a looser time frame, because I was a goalkeeper as well. So when we did the 2 mile at E-Town, it was the Blue Jay 2 mile. Great tradition that was. But we would have 14 minutes while the field players had 13 to do 2 miles. So, I want to do a little bit more soccer focus. That's why that's why I'm doing the Nike Spark one.
Yeah.
But E-Town was all about tradition, and that's what we that's what Skip did for 39 years. So I don't think he was going to change anything. So, good lad he is. But
yeah. You mentioned, just your mentors, you playing college soccer. How does it feel to have the first year of head coaching experience under your belt? Do you feel more confident, more assertive? Just tell me, do you feel like a different guy going into year 2?
Yeah, honestly, I feel more confident. These guys they work hard, they respect me, and that's all I can really ask for. So I think and I think the spring had a big deal with it as well. I think last fall I was kind of just getting my feet underneath me. I was learning names in preseason. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you got here late. Yeah,
I think I called Rayhan the wrong name for like a week, but yeah, you learn them pretty quickly. But now with my guys coming in, I think I have 10 freshmen, 6 transfers. It's a lot of new guys, but the amount of work we did over the offseason, especially, shout out to Quinn, he really did well with recruiting, and we spent a lot of time learning these guys that were coming in before they got here so that we can use them on the field immediately. So, so it feels a lot better my second year. I think that, with me being young, I got a kid on the team that's older than me. I think it's a cool thing. You know what I mean? I think the guys have a lot more respect. I think you have a good example is the Notre Dame football coach.
Marcus Freeman.
Yeah. A lot of his guys say that, hey, they respect he's so young, and that he was a player as well. And I think he's bringing that same energy into it, and they respect him for it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do as well. I understand how they feel. I don't know if a 50-year-old coach that's been doing it for 25 years, if he's going to pay attention to those little details of how they feel. But I feel a lot more in tune to it because 3 years ago I was doing the same thing. I was going into my senior year and, man, I got to do the fitness test. I remember, leading up to it, there's some funny memories with that, but it's not for this podcast. But there were some good moments and some bad moments, but, you really just have to use your own experiences to judge how, hey, can these kids push harder or are they not going to push harder? And what do you do with them to get them to that level? So, yeah, so I feel confident this year going into it that it's going to be a different season. The guys are ready. I'm ready. Let's do it.
I'm ready too, man. It's great to hear that you feel ready to go, and there's some give and take, right? Being a player coach, being almost the same age as the guys, you can really relate to them and say the 50-year-old coach that you mentioned who's been doing it for 25 years, he's not going to be able to relate to him on the same level, but then there's that 25 years of knowledge and experience doing it. So there is the give and take, and you're going to work your way to that next level. We've got a couple years to get it done. Let's pivot to the players. You mentioned 10 freshmen coming in, 5 transfers, and then a grad student. So 16 newcomers. It's over 50% of the roster. Tell me a little bit about these new guys coming in and recruiting coordinator Quinn Vukovic bringing them in. Just tell me how you feel about this new class.
Yeah, super excited. I think the first day they came in and kind of made their mark. We did 11s at the second session, small-sided in the first one, and they really did well. I think I'm honestly surprised of how good they are coming in. I think that freshman year always takes, might take a year or two of adjustment. And there's definitely, 1 or 2 players that it might take a year. But that's just the reality of it. Not everyone, it's 11 players play and, the rest are cheering them on the sideline. So, you got to be ready for your moment. So I think, the kids that are coming in, especially the freshmen, they really took the summer packet to heart. There's a kid from Texas, Eli. He came in and he just dogged the fitness test. He got through it and he got up to like 62, 63 or something. And he was training down there in Texas in 110-degree weather. Yeah. And he comes up to me this morning. He's like, "Hey man, it's cold. It's freezing here." And I'm, it's like 60 degrees or something, and he's freezing, wearing a jacket, and I'm like, nice, we all go through it. We all have that little bit of adjustment, but it's so a lot of credit to them for being fit. The transfers that are coming in, obviously unreal. They made a statement pretty quickly of hey, they're here to play. It's not just here to get a little badge of honor for where they came from. It's, hey, I'm a Rockford player now, and let's go win some games. So so really proud of them. Still waiting to see Pedro though. So it's a little bit of a delay, but we're working through it, and I'm excited to see him in a little bit.
Yeah, that's how it goes. He's got a really interesting story because he started as JUCO player. He's first team all-conference at Rock Valley, and that was back in 2019. And then comes to Rockford 2020, 2021, plays for the Regents, graduates, but he's still got another year left. So you're trying to get him back. He's going to come off the couch 5 years later, try to help you guys out. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I am as well. I think he's honestly, he stayed in shape. He's got a drive to be here. He showed up at our practices. He's been there at the team meetings, even though he's not necessarily playing yet. He's put in the work. Is what I'm trying to say, and he's kept in shape. He's played soccer throughout those 4 years basically since he's graduated. So he's still been playing. He's still been working hard, and I think he's going to come in ready to go.
Yeah. Yep. You guys, the guys you've brought in, transfers, freshmen, I'm excited to see how they mesh with these returning guys who, let's talk about now. You're bringing back 14 dudes. You've got your top 2 leading goal scorers, Rayhan Jakupi, Lane Mendoza. They scored 70% of your goals last year. How excited are you to have those 2 guys back specifically?
Yeah, very excited. I think Rayhan, he gets out there with a lot of energy, right? And he's just kinda,
to say the least.
Yeah. I know he's got a lot of energy, and he's just a natural leader. At the end of the day, obviously Lane's a little bit more quiet, but I think he leads with his talent. I think when you go out there, I don't think there's a single person that's going to say, "Wow," or I don't think there's a single person that's not going to recognize how good this player is. So he leads with his talent. Super proud of him and what he's done. He got a 76 on the fitness test. Okay. So he exceeded it with flying colors. Yeah. He did, phenomenal with it. He really just pushed himself. So, so I'm looking forward to seeing some more goals from those guys. Yep. Yeah. And they worked together well, man. During the Whitewater game, there was a lot of rotation is what we do. We do a lot of rotation up top in the middle of the field as well. But I think they figured it out. And I think that with those two specifically coming back, there's a lot of the same things that I don't have to go over from last year. You know, they already know how to do it. They know how to rotate. They know how to go forward. They know how to check back in. So I'm super excited to have those two guys coming back. It's a big deal to this program, big deal to me, and, you know, big deal to the coaching staff. So
yeah.
Yep.
Both those guys. I mean, Lane moves just so fluid, so effortless on the field, and Rayhan, he's just always in the mix. And ball of energy, loud. I mean, just kind of what you want. You mentioned those two guys growing as leaders. Is there anybody else, upperclassmen-wise, even underclassmen, that you think have taken a step forward in that aspect, leading this group?
Yeah, 100%. I think Bennett was the big standout. Like as soon as we got here, you know, moving goals, just doing like the little things, right? That makes the program go around. So I think he's done a great job. I think Bennett, I think he came in with that, hey, no nonsense, you know, attitude. Like, hey, we're going to get this done. We're going to have a great year. And, you know, he's going to be he's a senior this year.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think he kind of has that realization of, hey, this is the last year to do something. You know, I think it's been quite a while since, you know, Rockford's had a winning record, and I think he's coming in to do it. So I'm excited for him. Same thing for Wes as well. I know over the summer he played for Rockford FC. He was a captain for them, and he just, you know, came in with that same kind of mentality of like, hey, you know, he knows he's good. You know what I'm saying? And I think that other players can learn from that confidence that he has. The ability to lead that he has, and just the organization that he brings to the program. So
yeah,
super excited for both of them to be here, and very grateful that even Wes, you know, going into his junior year, can have that confidence to be a captain.
Yeah, I was going to talk about him next. He was probably your MVP last year. I mean, just put in a pretty tough situation, getting just barrage of balls hit at him, but he's fantastic. Have you seen improvements from him on the field as well?
Yeah, well, luckily enough in the in the spring games, luckily enough he didn't have to do too much. But I'm pretty sure Whitewater had 3 shots on target the whole game, compared to last year when we're giving up, you know, 20, 30, sometimes 40 shots a game. So I think that was the big improvement over the spring. And I think that Wes is, you know, obviously like he's making those big saves in practice, like when you need it. So I think it's really, really, really important that he's there and he's able to do what he does. So
yeah, and that's improvement from every level, right? I mean, when there's only 3 shots, that's what you want. You want Wes to have to only deal with a handful of shots a game, right? Not 20, 30. And if you guys can do that, you guys can 40. Yeah. Geez, if you guys can bring that number down, you guys are going to win some more games. And that brings me to, do you have a number in your head set? What's the goal this season? You won a pair of games last year. And I definitely think you guys will improve. You've got more talent. You guys have another year of culture building. What's the goal for Rockford men's soccer this year?
Yeah, I think there's a few goals. Like I know the players have their own player meetings, so they have their goals. It's a big part of the team, like for me specifically, for them to have their own goals and what they expect out of the season. But for me personally, I want to win 10. You know, I don't want to win 8. I don't want to, you know, sneak into the 8th position of playoffs. Like I want to be 5th at the minimum. You know what I mean? Beat some of the big teams, and now all of a sudden you're 4th. You know, so I think 10 wins is very reasonable. You know, I've looked at the schedule. Obviously, there's some tough games, some non-conference, and as well. But
that's how you want it to be. You want it to be tough non-conference games.
Exactly. So, you know, beating one of those teams would really just fire up the team to, hey, we can beat anybody. You know, and I think that last spring they really felt that when they beat Whitewater. You know, like I understand it was a spring game, and you know I get it, but I think just beating a team that won the WIAC was is going to be huge. You know, so I think the guys are confident, and we're just ready to go. Yep.
That's great to hear. I'm ready to watch some soccer, man. I'm ready to watch you guys win some games, beat some teams.
10 games minimum. We're going for it, man.
Okay, there we go. Gotta set your sights high. I like it. 5th in conference. You know what? Let's do it. I'm there for you.
Absolutely.
I want to pivot a little bit because last year we kind of talked about the state of soccer in America, a little bit about the MLS, and we kind of got to see it in action this summer. We got to see the U.S. men's team play in the World Cup. I had a lot of fun tuning into the World Cup, more than I ever have in my life, being an American football guy. But tell me what you think. Did you think, was it a successful experience for American soccer in the World Cup this year? What did you think from your perspective, a soccer guy?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, I know FIFA, especially with Infantino, I think, the money is not it's not the game. The money is not the game. It's about the passion. It's about the players that want to be there. It's about putting the ball in the back of the net and having a whole country stops and watches it.
That's the best part about it.
Yeah. Because I know in America, in the Super Bowl, everyone's talking about it all day, but for them, they're talking about their League Two, second division in Costa Rica game at night. It's such a big deal to other countries. I think we're going to get there eventually, especially with the rise of youth soccer. But just the passion that people have, it's a beautiful game, and I think that the direction of it is just going to keep going forward.
Yeah.
I think
do you think it was a step in the right direction this year?
I think it was a step forward and it's partially a step back, if I'm
Okay.
going to be honest. Yeah. So I think it was a step forward in the sense of soccer. I think this year, watching the games, there were some great teams like Spain. If you watch them play, it was just beautiful. The tactics were perfect.
They've got the trophy.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you see teams like Cape Verde coming out of nowhere and playing Argentina, taking them to overtime, scoring some wonder goals. I think it was beautiful for the game. And just really giving hope to teams like, hey, you look at, Rockford last year, like, hey, small guys can compete with the big boys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's 11 versus 11. It's 11 mentalities against another 11 mentalities. So I think it was a huge thing for the game and for the world. But I think the money is the downside of it. I went to a game this year in Philadelphia. We sat like at the very edge of the first ring, $815 each ticket. So, me and my mom went to it. It was a great time. We had a really good time there. But I think at the end of the day, the money kind of ruined it this World Cup. You don't have those passionate fans that save every single penny that, pay $200 to go to a game. Now they're having to save up and spend $800. That's, I saw some tickets for nosebleeds that was bad. What I mean?
They kind of especially at the beginning. I think as it went, they realized, especially in those group games, I mean, they were pricing people out. Like the opener in LA was not even close to being full. It's because those tickets were north of $1,000.
Yep.
They're trying to make some money. It's like, bring it down a little. Let's get the fans in here. That's what makes soccer so special is you have thousands of people coming, rooting. This is their country. This is the thing they love the most.
Yep.
We need to kind of get back to that regional aspect of it.
I agree. You got like I've read a quote the other day off of Instagram, and it was talking about like they would rather see. It's more important to see like a grandfather and his grandson, go to a game than Matthew McConaughey and Leonardo DiCaprio going to a LA game and spending $50,000 for a box. I think it's more important that those type of fans that live and breathe this game are able to go. So I think that's the only improvement that I would make on the World Cup. But at the end of the day, like the soccer was beautiful, all the songs, everything was cool. And I remember I know Fox kind of took over, and you could pay for that Fox thing, $40 for the World Cup. But I think at the end of the day, it's got to be free. It really has to be free. Yeah, I think that factory worker, somewhere he's getting paid $15 to $20 an hour, and then, maybe his wife works somewhere, or maybe she's taking care of the kids. I think he wants to go see that game after a 12-hour shift in the factory. You know?
No, definitely.
So I think that's the only improvement, but the soccer was beautiful. So
yeah, and that's getting into bigger conversations about streaming services and just things that have not in the world of soccer's control. But you're right. We need to get back to the essence of the game. It's this country against this country, and we are rooting for where we live. That's what we're doing. I have a couple of qualms just about the sport of soccer, and tell me if I'm wrong. You know so much more about the game than I do. I'm watching these World Cup games, and the extra time, is it really more difficult to just stop the clock? Can we just stop the clock while this guy is on the ground for 3 minutes? Do we have to add a undetermined amount of time at the end? What do you think about the extra time?
See, I love extra time. I think it's pretty exciting. Like everybody's on their last limbs. At the end of the day, they're still playing 45 minutes each half.
Yeah.
As long as the referee's keeping track of it, and those referees are paid well enough to keep track of it. So especially at the D3 level too, they're paid well enough to do a little bit better. But it's for the World Cup specifically. And I think just now with the cooling breaks, adding minutes on for that. And that was a big part of it as well. Like you always see 9 minutes, 10 minutes, back in, 4 years ago, you're seeing 3 minutes added, you're seeing 2 minutes added. I think that it's just a mental barrier that players have to get past. If they're going to be a great team, they better, they got to be great between minute 1 and 45, and also 45 through 53. If you're gonna if you're gonna be a great player and get paid millions to play soccer, yeah, you better have the mentality to defend for another 12 minutes if it's added on.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, as a player out on the field, it's like, okay, I don't know when this is going to end. I have to push myself, be mentally tough enough to keep going, keep playing. Mm-hmm. As a fan sitting at home, I'm like, okay, we hit 90. When's the end of the game? That's what I wanted. Like, we hit the 6 minutes, and we're still playing. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, maybe if they just told the fans, this is how much time here in the corner, this is how much time we have left until the game is actually over. Yeah. Maybe that would help me out, but again, I'm so used to basketball and football where we know exactly when this game is going to end. Mm-hmm. My only other thing, and I do like the overtime periods, but I think the most fun that I had watching is the PKs. Mm-hmm. And that's the most electric part when it all comes down to these 5 guys against these 5 guys. I think every game should end with penalty kicks. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah. Do you mean like if it's tied? Like
even in like friendlies and stuff. Why have ties? Let's just PKs.
Yep. And that's a big thing. Honestly, like it's a big thing for me when I moved out here. Like in Pennsylvania in our leagues, we'll play the 2 overtime periods and end in a tie. In the Nick 10, like the local Rockford Public High School conference, they always go to penalties within conference. So I think that was a cool addition. I love it too. I love penalties when I was growing up playing high school soccer, even when I was younger as well. I was good at saving penalties, and I always wanted to go into penalties because I knew I was going to save some and be the hero. Yeah. Right? It was a fun time, but I think at the end of the day, it takes a little bit away from the team that just defended for 120 minutes. For example, Paraguay and Germany, right? That was a
great game.
Yeah, that was a great game, and going into penalties. I was down in Maryland doing a camp with Frank DeLeonardi with Pro GK. Yeah, that all that goalkeeping stuff, and I was watching the shootout with my cousin. Interesting story with that, but we were like in a shop and we were watching the game, and they were trying to like kick us out because we just kept. It was like a long shootout, went into extra rounds, and I was like, "Come on, man, just let us watch it, dude." This is life. This is my life, man. Like, but yeah, I think that penalties. It's cool. I think ending in every single game, I think it's situational. I agree with if Nick 10, each conference game has to go to penalties, I think that's cool. Non-conference, maybe we keep it as a tie. But then in conference, maybe we have a shootout at the end, and whoever gets it wins. It gets that point or gets that they get 3 points and you get 0. But then again, it does take away from, hey, can a team defend for 120 minutes or in our case with 2 10-minute overtimes, 110 minutes. It takes away from a team who can defend and just, hey, they make it a 0-0. Now it's luck of the draw. Now it's a coin flip to see if you can win it. So, it goes back and forth. It's a big argument, but I love penalties, but I think it should be pretty situational of when and where they should have penalties after overtime.
All right. So, hey, you're the soccer coach. You're I'm just.
I know it's a long explanation.
No. Yep. You made your point clear. And you're right. I think maybe penalty kicks at the highest level at the World Cup probably is fair. And that Paraguay-Germany game, I don't remember the goalkeeper's name. Do you, for Paraguay?
Nah.
He had an out-of-body experience. He was so fantastic. Paraguay upsetting Germany. That was awesome. I was sitting watching that. I was like, you know what? I get it.
Yep.
I get it. This is great.
And I
know. Even in Germany, those fans looking like they just watch somebody die out on the field after the loss.
That's how much it means to people.
Right.
Yep.
That's what's so great about the World Cup, about soccer specifically, and hopefully the U.S. can get to that level. Let's see, 2020. What year will it be? 2030. Yep. Man, we got to wait a long time before we get to watch that again. Look at me turning into a soccer fan.
Dude, there we go. We love it. We love it. The more the better.
Well, I'm excited to be a Rockford soccer fan this year. Your first game is coming up. Your first real game is coming up here. I believe it's the 2nd, September 2nd, hosting Lawrence. You've got 2 preseason. There it is. Some exhibitions against. You've got Stevens Point and who was the other team?
Ripon was the other one.
Okay. Yep. So you got some lead up. We've got a couple of weeks until you're ready to go, but I'm excited to see it. Coach Ethan Higgins, I thank you for coming on to Rock Talk, talking to me. Anything else that you want to say while you've got that mic in front of your face?
Not too much. I didn't think about this too much. I'm more of a on the field rather than a off the field kind of guy. But yeah, I just think that I'm super excited for the season. I think that we have a lot of talent coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of guys that are trying to prove themselves. You can see, improving each year. Obviously, with 2 Division I transfers, I'm really hoping to they can really display their talent this year. So I'm super excited for that. Yeah, just putting the ball in the back of the net, keeping it out of ours, and let's have a good season.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I
All
appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it.
There you go.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's it. Rock Talk episode 31 in the books.
Yep. There we go.